I've noticed that so many people are scared of deep conversation. Like when you get into deep convo with somebody, like as it starts to get like deeper and deeper, you could tell that people start to like pull back and they start to get like a little scared and like drawn back, and they don't want to go like any deeper than you're taking it. And that's when you can, I mean, obviously you can pull back too. You don't have to like, you have to gauge that, and that's all discernment anyway. But people are scared of deep conversation, and I'm always like, why? Like, it's just because I think people are scared of what they don't know. Like people who are naive and people who don't actually think like critically, and they don't think on that level, they get scared when you kind of go there. And it's like when you, as the conversation gets deeper and deeper, that's when real true colors start to come out, and you start to gauge who somebody really is when it starts to get there. But it's like, this is so funny. I always see like if I'll be in a conversation or I'll just hear a conversation and it starts to get deeper into like, you really can start to gauge like the intelligence of certain people. And then that's when they start to hit you with like subtle offensive things. You know what I mean? Like they start to like, they'll be like, oh, it's a Mr. Conspiracy Theorist or Mr. Philosopher. And it's like, no, man, like we're just not talking about baseball or like the UFC right now. Like we're actually talking about something real. And most people can't handle it. So they just like revert to like, insults. Whenever somebody reverts to insults and reverts to like clowning on you or something, that's like their defense rather than silence. Because people think silence means that they don't know what's going on. So they revert to like, insults and clowning and laughter and of course changing the subject. But yeah, I've just noticed that so many people are scared of deep conversation. Because they don't think that deep. It's never that deep. And also, like, that's fine. Like, I don't think many people think on that deep of a level anyway. So it's like when you do go deeper into conversation, deeper into like meaning of things, and you start to gauge that like they're not there, like they don't know what you're talking, like they sort of know what you're talking about, but they're like, like they just can't handle it. And that's fine. Like, it's all good. Like, some people may get there or never get there. It's all good. But when you dive into that like area, you can always gauge like where people stand. I think that's good. Like I said, it's all discernment. But I don't think that people should be scared of deep convo. And I also think that people should be humble. Like, if I'm in a conversation with somebody and they start talking about some really deep stuff, I'm the type of guy to be intrigued and I want to talk about it. But if he starts talking about stuff that I don't understand, like I'm not afraid to ask him or her. I'm not afraid to ask, yo, could you elaborate? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, people don't want to ask questions. Like, curiosity is something that's, like, you need to be curious. You always need to be curious. Like, that is like an attractive trait as a person. Like, if you're a curious person. Like, if someone continuously asks me questions when I'm talking to them, like that, I like that. Like, I like when someone keeps asking me, not like personal questions, but like when we're talking about something and they keep throwing like questions at you that you can continuously answer. Now, yeah, like obviously there's a fine line between like asking questions and like they just want to ask questions to gauge you and stuff. Like, no. But when you can tell when someone's just a curious person, I think that's important. I think that's an attractive trait either way. Like, I think women find that attractive in men, and I would say that men find that attractive in women too. Like, if a woman is asking me like a lot of questions, I'm enjoying the conversation, and vice versa. But yeah, always be curious. Like, don't ever think that we live in a world of know-it-alls. Like, you don't know it all. You don't know it all, and neither do I. Like, I'm not even gonna sit here and say that I know more than you. Like, everybody knows their own stuff, but it's like, don't be a know-it-all and don't act like you literally know everything. I hate people like that. I hate people that can't sit back and just admit that they're not as proficient in a certain area or conversation as like somebody else. And it's just even about small stuff, like just a certain subject that somebody might be talking about, you might not be knowledgeable in that. So it's like either be quiet or like ask questions. Like you don't have to jump in and act like you know what they're talking about. Yeah, it's crazy. I see that all the time. They're scared of deep conversation, and then it's always a competition, and they're never curious. Like they always act, oh yeah, I know, oh I know. You try to give somebody a piece of advice, oh I know, yeah, I knew that. Did you though? Like, it's okay if you didn't. Like it's you know, there were so many things that I didn't know that I asked about, and now I know about them. It takes literally like a few seconds to learn. So yeah, I hate that. I hate when people are like super know-it-alls and, you know, they think they just know what's going on 24/7. I'm like, you don't. Like, you don't. But yeah, don't ever be afraid to get into deep conversation. So much you can learn from that stuff. I've learned so many things from like, you know, as I got deeper into conversation with certain people. And yeah, also touching on don't be a know-it-all either. Do not act like you know it all, and do not act like you're better than anyone else. I'm really sick of that behavior. I'm sick of people thinking that they're better than everyone else, and they think that anything anyone does is like, oh, I would never do that because I know better. Shut up. Like, just shut up. Don't be a know-it-all. Have deep conversation. And do not be afraid to show your true colors. All right, peace.